Welcome to this BTV Right Now update. I'm John Luck. Tuesday's Town Council meeting will feature three key items. The first is accepting changes to the town's home rule charter, which would include making the town clerk appointed for a 3-year term instead of being elected. The council will have a proposal in front of them that would authorize the town manager to negotiate a purchase and sale agreement at the site of the vacant McGowan School. The site would be turned into a 52-unit development. The discussion will also continue on the retail sale of recreational use marijuana. The meeting will air live on Channel 22 and be available on demand later on in the week. And of course, I'll have a recap coming out next week on BTV Right Now and Bridgewater This Week. Thanksgiving week means travel may be a nightmare, and according to AAA, travel times may take more than 3 times normal this week. 89% of the 50.9 million Americans are expected to hit the roads, while 8% will travel by air. A strong economy and higher consumer confidence are the key factors in this travel forecast. AAA also says the worst time to travel around Boston this week is Tuesday from 5 to 7, and the worst area in the Bay State is I-84 and the Mass Turnpike for this time of the year. Turning to your health today, and there's good news for anybody planning to run a turkey trot this week. Running is a great way to improve cardiovascular fitness and losing weight, but some people worry that pounding the pavement will take a toll on their back. Now, a recent study suggests otherwise. Dr. Santosh Thomas of the Cleveland Clinic did not take part in the study, but says the research supports the notions that running may benefit the back.
The study actually is a good study to support running is better than sitting, and they have talked about the fact that running does not have to be extreme, although they picked runners who were running for at least 5 years.
Researchers looked at a group of 79 adult men and women, 2/3 of which were runners for at least 5 years, while the rest of the people rarely exercised. All the participants wore accelerometers to track their level of activity. Using specialized MRI scans, researchers measured the size and fluid of each person's spinal discs. They found that in general, runners had slightly healthier discs than people who did not exercise. Dr. Thomas says some people believe running can increase disc deterioration, but factors such as smoking, obesity, age, and a family history of spinal disc problems have more of an impact. And when it comes to back pain, Dr. Thomas says disc deterioration can contribute to existing pain, but it's usually only part of the problem. He says it's likely that runners are generally healthier, which may help them better manage pain and injuries.
We all know running has many benefits. It decreases stress, it increases cardiac health, it decreases weight, it helps your mind and mood. So those things are going to be very helpful. So that'll allow you to tolerate your running injuries if you get any, or even back issues if you get any. You can tolerate those better.
Dr. Thomas says the important thing to remember is that it's good to run or at least walk because sitting for an excessive period of time does the most damage to the back and spine. Complete results of the study can be found in the journal Nature. Wherever you go this week, weather will be a key factor, so is there anything to watch out for across the country and more importantly here in Massachusetts? Jeff Fowler has more.
Well, John, it's going to be a relatively quiet travel day for the most part across the country on Wednesday. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. It was not quiet on Sunday, though. We had those winds howling across the area as a front moved through Sunday morning, and it did cause a little bit of damage. Here's a photo you see on Main Street right here in Bridgewater, courtesy of George Reiser. And look at some of those winds across the area that brought those trees down. Winds gusting anywhere between 40 and 50 miles per hour for a good chunk of our region. If you go a bit further to the west, Worcester County, about a mile up in the air, they had winds gusting close to 60 miles per hour. Here in Bridgewater, we had an official gust of 39. So you can see the range there, but again, we've had so much windy weather recently. We had the drought, of course, last summer, so the trees have been beaten up quite a bit, and this was the result, unfortunately. Nothing like that today. It is still on the breezy side, but not nearly as gusty. Now, as we look at the national radar, we can see that the front has moved offshore, but with those colder winds moving over the relatively warmer waters, we have had some lake effect snow showers moving across upstate New York overnight. In fact, Rochester had an inch and a half of snow. And we also have right now those snows kind of coming up against the mountains in the Champlain Valley area in northern Vermont. So they have their own private little snowfall going on today right now. Montpelier and Burlington, if you're driving up 91 perhaps to visit some family for the Thanksgiving week, they do have a lot of special weather statements going on up there tonight. You'll want to slow things down. But for the most part, it's the northeast on Wednesday and the northwest, everywhere in between, should be, for the most part, on the dry side. We'll take a look at a surface map here for Wednesday, and you can see we have a front that'll be marching across the country. It's starting to lose a lot of its punch on the southern end, but we also have a small storm system that may try to form over the ocean, and it's possible that these two may come close enough together to give us a strip of some moderate rainfall here, which will most likely be, for the most part, after daybreak on Wednesday, so maybe about lunchtime. Once that clears out, the front moves through Wednesday afternoon. So if you're traveling for the evening commute Wednesday, or perhaps heading out to see some relatives, or maybe do some pub crawling perhaps on Wednesday night, I think it'll be on the drier side by then. Thanksgiving Day looks pretty good here. Sunshine from start to end, though we will have some clouds coming in later in the afternoon. Temperatures will be in the mid-20s to start us off. By the time you get to the fields, we'll be more into the upper 30s, and by the time we wrap things up on Thursday evening, we'll start to move temps back down. So if you're doing some Black Friday shopping early Friday morning, you want to bring a few layers. But both days will warm back up into the mid to upper 40s. Now by Saturday, we'll warm up a few more degrees, but we'll also have the chance of some rain showers, which could mix with a few snowflakes by early Sunday.
Thanks, Jeff. The Trojans' pro season ended in Rentham a couple weeks ago, so Thanksgiving is it for the football team. Brian Berard and myself preview the latest installment of the Cape Cod Cafe Cup. All right, here with Brian Berard, obviously representing 40 Sports Talk.
Yeah, had to pick it up, didn't you?
All right, so Thanksgiving football is a huge game, obviously, across Massachusetts. It's the last time some of these players will play football. But for the BR Trojans, if they are healthy and they all go out on the field and perform, there's going to be a little bit of built-up anger behind some of these players after the game against King Philip.
Yeah, it's second straight year that Bridgewater Rainham has gone to King Philip and unfortunately came out as the loser. So it's, yeah, there's definitely some motivation. And in this year's senior class, this is only their third home game of the year. The last time they had a home game was, way back, it felt like years ago. You also brought up the point that this is probably going to be the last game for many of the seniors that we're seeing here today. So a lot of emotion behind this game for both sides.
And meanwhile, for the Brockton Boxers, they've had a very difficult season, 3-7 coming into the game on Thanksgiving. Their quarterback, Jose Montero, returning to the field after missing all of 2016 with a knee injury. A lot of people thought that Brockton was going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack as far as Division I goes, but they've had a really difficult year, and their coach may be on the hot seat.
Yeah, I know it's kind of odd to say that, but a lot of people have been wanting Colombo to be fired now for this season, and disappointing season for the Brockton Boxers. But they've had some bright spots in Rosenpierre, the running back, and Jose Montero with the deep balls. So I mean, they have the ability to go there, and obviously there's some outside factors that we really don't know that much about that could be influencing this team. But definitely a letdown year in years past too, because Brockton, only 3 wins coming into this year, which was still good enough to make the playoffs in Division I South, even though Division I was kind of the weaker division. Division II, the division that Bridgewater Rainham is in, was a little bit better, actually a lot better. I think only 2 teams were above 500 in Division I. I think every team in Division II was above 500, but a disappointing season for Brockton, so you better believe that they have some motivation coming to this game as well, because 6 out of the 7 matchups that they've had on Thanksgiving have gone to Bridgewater Rainham.
6-1 BR gets the final tally there, outscoring the Boxers 128-86. So as far as game plan goes, if you are Coach Colombo potentially coaching for your job here, the one Achilles heel for the BR Trojans may be their secondary. They've left some very deep passes, and it came back to bite them against King Philip. Yeah,
and I've seen a couple of the Brockton games this year, and Jose Montero in that offense, they love to air it out deep, and that's where we saw the Trojans struggle a little bit this year, was secondary on the deep passes, so that's something you're going to have to watch out for. And if Brockton wants any chance, because I think Bridgewater Rainham on paper is the better team. I think they have the better talent. So for the Trojans, you really have to watch out for that deep pass that Jose Montero can throw.
Jose Montero, 968 yards passing, 9 touchdowns to go along with 4 interceptions. Meanwhile, for the BR Trojans, Devontae Graves, Bryce Shaw, probably your big names as far as performance goes on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and the last game against King Philip, they both got banged up with their ankles. Corey Sullivan had a banged up ankle, as Jeff Ciccio was a little banged up in that game. So hopefully they're a little bit healthy and going to go out there, play with a chip on their shoulder, and bring home another Cape Cod Cafe Cup to BR.
All right, so the game takes place at the regional Thanksgiving morning at 10 a.m. We'll have the game for you on replay all Thanksgiving afternoon and into the evening, also online at btvaccess.com. And thank you for watching this BTV Right Now update. I'm John Luck.